I would like to call on Napa, Eze-Onwusah, who is a managing partner, PlacidCode Labs moderator. Please a round of applause for her. We could do better, or else I'll force you to do some exercises. Thank you. Let's call on Isimeme Whyte, who is the Chief Innovation Officer, GeniusHub Global. Are you here? All right, please, a round of applause as she makes her way to the stage. Please let's make welcome Markus. I am so sorry. I wouldn't want to call that, but I do appreciate your helping me out. Cluster Coordinator for GIZ, Sustainable Economic Development Center. And I would like to call on Maryam Gwadebe, founder, Bluesapphire Hub. Please a round of applause for Maryam. Sorry. Are your mics okay?
We're using the desk. Hello? It's not working. There's one on my seat. Is this working? Is this working?
Hi, how are you?
Markus, I think you need to come a little closer.
I thought we are four.
Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to our panel. We're going to be talking about innovation in Africa, really looking at how we can use our local roots to grow globally. Very honored to be here. My name is Napa Eze-Onwusah. Some people call me Napa. Please don't, it's Napa. And I really want this to be engaging. We're here for just 30 minutes, so we'll take the first 20 minutes talking to our amazing panel. And then if you have questions, we will do 10 minutes afterwards. So please engage, and let's have a good time. Should we maybe start with introductions? Just a quick sentence, name, what you do. I think it will be helpful.
Okay, my name is Isimeme Whyte. I'm a social entrepreneur. I'm the founder and the Chief Innovation Officer at GeniusHub. Always very excited, honored to be here again this afternoon. I'm passionate about the future of work. I'm passionate about TVET. I'm passionate about job creation. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me see if I can beat this. My name is Maryam Lawan, and good evening, everyone. I am the founder of Bluesapphire Hub, an innovation hub based in Kano State, also the consortium partner for Women Venture Studio, Digital Innovation Hub, and also the corporate director for ISN Innovation Support Network, and also the special advisor on innovation, entrepreneurship, and capital to Honorable Minister of Communications, Innovation, and Digital Economy. Mouthful, right?
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Markus Wauschkuhn. Sorry for all the moderators struggling with my name. I'm with GIZ. I'm coordinating GIZ's programs in the area of sustainable economic development. GIZ is Germany's agency for international cooperation, and we do our work on behalf of various commissioning parties, in particular, of course, the German government, but also the European Union, Switzerland, here in particular. And we are quite present here at the Omniverse in the area of digitalization, but also support of micro, small, and medium enterprises and skills development and financial system. Thank you.
I think they said this was working.
So you guys are going to help us clap a bit and engage, because as you can see, we're passing. Thank you, thank you. This is like more than a century of experience on the stage. Okay, so Isimeme, everybody knows you with everybody knows you with a GeniusHub, correct? And you've been working with entrepreneurs for many, 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 many years. Are you seeing innovation changing in how they are approaching solving problems? Have you seen a change in responding to how the climate is now?
Yeah. Yes. We've been seeing a lot of changes, and the most interesting part is that young people are really, really inspired about what others are doing. So there's a lot of changes. But the only thing that has not changed much is the fact that young people just have this idea, they're excited, which is fine. They want to run it. I mean, you can't just stop from just, it doesn't work just having an idea. You have an innovation, but how do we ensure your innovation meets best practice? Is it environmentally friendly? Do you consider social and the corporate governance of your solution, your business? And many of these persons do not have business skills. And when you don't have business skills, your solution may just die. And one area I have also seen that has worked very well, I have seen solutions that were introduced to African markets, especially Nigeria, but could not really meet the needs of the poor people. But thank God for the new innovators who are now coming up with solutions without internet, because they understand one of the biggest problems in Africa currently, especially among the innovators, is power. Infrastructure is a big deal. Internet is another issue, it's very expensive right now. And that are developing solutions for those who cannot afford smartphones and are able to provide services for them. Now, that shift alone is a major achievement. And we're very excited that innovators are being conscious about ESG, that is environmental and social governance, which is key for sustainability. So now, for you to think of innovation, ESG must be at the back of your mind. Then beyond that, how do we begin to bring innovators, investors, the government, development partners to a round table to discuss how this solution can be improved on? So what we've seen over the years is that, apart from the ones who are so privileged, like Paystack, and recently, which guy is trending now? This fintech guy, Money Point, right? So everyone is saying Money Point, Money Point. What did they do differently? We were told that they improve on their corporate governance. You can imagine that. Beyond just the solution, they were intentional about improving their corporate governance. And that is one major problem among startup innovators, because they don't have corporate governance, no system, no structure. They cannot attract opportunities. So this is one shift that I've seen that we need to sustain, and we need to keep working on. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. I think what's very interesting about what you said was more like people that are innovating now are starting with the end in mind, yes, right? So they're investing more in the skills and the ability to be able to deliver this. And it brings me to the work, Maryam, you're doing in Bluesapphire, right? Because you are kind of investing these skills upfront, if I'm correct. How are you making sure that the entrepreneurs are fully equipped? How do you think we can make sure they're fully equipped? Because you start with an idea. You don't start with the ESG. You don't start with the governance. So what are the kind of things that we need to put in place so an entrepreneur is able to start and then actually see the journey through?
Thank you. So first of all, I would say that the space. For innovation, for an entrepreneur to innovate, to think about coming up with a solution, it's definitely about the environment where he is. That's why we see spaces are places to harness the power of serendipity. Just like we are here, the way the place is well set up, it gives you you begin to think of so many things. I think ever since I stepped into this place, I've been thinking of, oh, there's this thing that we should do. There's this. So the space, and this is why innovation hubs are very crucial. They are not like normal classrooms where you just go and sit like this. It's mostly the spaces are well designed in such a way with nice architectural designs that helps entrepreneurs, as soon as they walk in, they begin to think of, okay, this is what I want to do. Even if you don't have an idea, by walking up into that space, you begin to have inspiration of what you want to do. That's one. Then the next thing is actually access to mentors. Mostly entrepreneurs, the approach is training, sitting down in class and training. But mentorship is about getting response from that person that is thinking of building a solution. So when you have access to that kind of mentorship in such a way that it is not about the training approach, but the way you are the one communicating as an entrepreneur, they're the ones communicating, trying to share their challenges, trying to share what they aspire to do to a mentor. It's not the way the other way around, where we sit them in class and train them. They are able to, it sets the foundation of how they think about coming up with their solutions. And this is very, very important in any innovation spaces or any business development environment, to provide mentors. Then the other thing is actually enabling them to access networking, peer-to-peer support. It's always important to say that once I sit down, I am sitting next to Isimeme, we are discussing. We have already started discussing, okay, after this event, we need to do a career fair. We need to do a career fair in Kano, and this is how we should. So it's a peer-to-peer support. As an entrepreneur, you already align with your peer. You already understand. He has already gone through that. She has set up a career room here, and I already started thinking that we need to do something as a career fair in Kano. So that's also an avenue, peer-to-peer support. So these are the three major things that before you even think of training, before you even start thinking of funding money and other things, I think once you lay this foundation and they are able to access it, they will be able to build innovations. Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I loved that answer, because what you are kind of hitting on was the physical space, but also the mental space. And the mental space from engaging with people that have gone ahead. As a first-time entrepreneur, I know how much I've gained from mentorship and peer-to-peer. So even though we're talking about the foundational issues, Markus, you have done quite a lot of work in public policy. You've done a lot of work in strategic kind of engagements as well. Just looking from a more strategic lens, what do you think the innovator that is an entrepreneur that's on the continent needs to do to be able to scale globally? I really want your insight there, because we talk about scaling even before we mention growth. And how do we grow and then scale? What should we have in our minds as we start?
Yeah, thank you. I guess the first and most important is to have scaling in the plan, because we have so many good ideas, great innovations, which never see the market, which never scale. And we implementing for our development partners, of course we have not an individual enterprise in mind, but the whole ecosystem, the growth of the whole ecosystem, and the support to create new jobs and create more income. So what we basically see that, and we have addressed that with one module, training to help innovators to get linkages to markets, to scale their business, and to find bankable solutions for what they do. That module is called Inspire, Create, Start, Scale. And that's a training for a business skill training we also offer jointly with Smedan. Smedan has adapted that for rollout in the whole of Nigeria. And I think that addressing the business perspective is the most important, because the ideas and the ability to adapt to the challenging environment. You mentioned the internet, the power supply, the security situation, also idea theft and lack of property rights. All that is existing, and the support you give to develop a business plan to attract funders, to attract finance with this business plan, and to think business-like, to bring your innovation to the customer. You talked about thinking from the end, and I would extend that to thinking from the market, to develop something which finds a market, and to scale. Yes, we also address, of course, e-commerce solutions, expanding markets on that. Sustainability of the business is another aspect. So in our programs, we usually address the 3 levels: the policy level, where we address the regulatory environment, business enabling environment, that you're able to register your business, that it's not disappearing immediately, that you are bankable. We address the individual skills, which I just mentioned, the business skills, but also the institutional support, business hubs, which provide a safe environment and networking for MSMEs, and GeniusHub is a great example for that. And also the access to markets, new marketing strategies, clear business perspective. I think that's the thing, coming back to your question. To be scalable, you have it in your mind from the very beginning.
And Markus, that's such an important point, right? We call it product virality, that if you build the thought process of your product will scale, then you'll be able to implement accordingly. And so many great programs. I mean, listening to the DJ of Smidan, all the things they're doing and everybody's doing on this stage. But there's something that stood out. I think you mentioned it like 3 times. You said access to markets. And this is something a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with. How do I scale into another country that I'm not really comfortable or I know enough about? And something that comes to mind is partnerships. Yeah? So what are your thoughts on how an entrepreneur can actually start building those partnerships to be able to scale, or even not to scale, to grow? Because Maryam mentioned a very great point around mentorship. But now, how do I access that market with my product and my great idea?
Thank you so much. I got very excited when you talked about partnership. Whatever GeniusHub have become to, whatever we have become today, is purely partnership. And this is how it works. We're very big on networking. We are here at the Omniverse. We are one of the partners. We are in charge of Career Center. We have 32 team members from GeniusHub in this Omniverse. What are they doing? Strategically, they are in all the rooms, listening to conversation, identifying areas of opportunity and partnership. We have another set whose work is to network with people who align with our mandate. Then what we do next, we follow up. We start conversation, virtual meetings, and we sit to explain to them what we do and what we think we can do together as a team. Now, I love to really stress on 5Js. 5J is one tool that has helped us very well. And this is how to strengthen partnerships so that no one feel threatened, so that no one feel that they are not being carried along. So number 1, J1 is joint thinking. So you have established contact rights. There's conversation. We both know what each other, what we all do. But the next level is having conversation, which is why I call it J1, joint thinking. We sit together to think about what we want to do. Then the next one is joint planning, where we also sit together to plan, to develop a roadmap, a strategy, maybe for 5 years or 4 years, develop a simple roadmap from that roadmap, you pick out your work plan. And who is doing what? Share roles. Everybody know what they're doing. Then the third J, which is joint implementation. Now, there will be joint implementation. A, know their strengths. B, know what they want. And we share roles and responsibility. We go as far to sign simple SLA. Everybody know that their roles. Now, the fourth J is what we call joint monitoring and evaluation, which is the most important part of our work, where we begin to look at what works, what is not working, what is the way forward. We begin to look at the baseline that has been developed from the beginning to be able to analyze the impacts of our partnership and of our objective. Then the last one, which I'm really, really very excited about, is joint communication. Joint communication, where we're beginning to share results, where we're beginning to put our logos everywhere. We share data. And the last one, the last J, I call it JS, joint sustainability. How do we sustain our partnership? How do we sustain the objective that has been curated? How do we sustain the strategy that has been developed? So for all, that is exactly how we play in this ecosystem. And that's exactly what we do at GeniusHub. So I think I should stop here. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys can put your hands together for the 5 Js. I think you just delivered a little course there for us to use to kind of align. And I like the fact that you were so passionate about partnerships, right? In terms of how you've even used that yourself. But that's why, exactly. But Maryam, what a young entrepreneur will say is that, yeah, I want to partner, but there's a perception about me as an African entrepreneur. How do I overcome that to be able to use partnership to scale and to grow?
So I think what I would say is starting with ability to prove yourself. When you have a track record of you doing something, definitely when someone comes and sees that, okay, you have already set standard, you have already done it before, they are willing to actually align and support you. It's very important for a young entrepreneur that it's starting afresh to know that nobody just come and partner with you just because you shared an idea. And this is something that you have not tested. This is not something, you don't have any digital footprint. You don't have anything that that the partner can be able to check me to see that you have presence, you have done something. It's very important to know that you start something small. So we always have the notion that before we start something, it has to be perfect. It has to be perfect. You keep on procrastinating. You keep on rumbling from one to the other. You started something, but you haven't built a footprint. You haven't built a portfolio around it. You move to the next one. It's important that when you build that set standards, first work around that, what you're working on. Work around, I mean, is go through each and every process, understand it, and then make sure you share your story, impact story. That's why the social media is there. Have your digital footprints. You have done these things. You have never had a partner. You have done it alone for some time, and then after some time, you have that footprint that you can share when you are submitting your concept note or you are drafting your SLA agreement with a partner. Definitely, you would see that, okay, you have done this thing before, and I would like to be part of this journey because you have documented your success story. You have documented, you have communicated, as she clearly iterated that the last G is communication. You have clearly communicated. So you have done it, you have implemented, you have monitored, and you have communicated, and then you share it. So just take it out of your mind that people will just meet you, like you, and just partner with you. It's all about you have done it before, and you have been able to create a digital footprint that they can check and to prove that you have done it, and they would now decide to work with you.
So it's a journey. Share your progress, and then make sure you're not discouraged as you're moving along. right? I just want to check, are there any questions that we'll have from the audience? Okay, so Markus, you mentioned quite a number of challenges that the typical entrepreneur faces. The ideas, you say, isn't the problem. The problem sometimes is the environment. Are there any examples of those problems and ways you think that they can be solved that can kind of encourage innovation? Because they are significant. When you mention funding, infrastructure, have there been any models that you've seen that have worked that an entrepreneur could potentially use to keep the innovation flame going?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I think one very obvious is that in the area of innovation, producers of innovation, academia, startups, and investors live on different planets. And it's hard to even make them understanding each other. So what we do is do business plans, you mentioned, and strategy that we bring also together the language. And events like this, the Omniverse, where you have this summit where all the different groups come together as a ecosystem to develop something new, and we have the career center and we have the deal room where actually this is happening, this the form of exchange which usually is not happening outside. And I really like the theme of the Omniverse very much, and this is why we are here in full force, unified by vision, empowered by collaboration. I think that's really the spirit where this can move on. Of course, physical hubs can also be that. That could be a safe place where you overcome the challenges of the environment and also have the linkages to other suppliers. You have the services, you can have tax specialists and export companies and legal specialists could all link to such an hub that you step out of your bubble of only your very closed thematic area. But of course, I should also mention the biggest support for the ecosystem would be if public goods as security, electricity, internet, to some extent a public good, but that would be more stable and more available. So we would not dance around and create hubs where you have a safe place for entrepreneurs. So that would be certainly the easiest way to promote digital innovation and digital startups. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm just asking the audience, are there any questions for our panelists? Okay, please can you state your name, what you do, and who the question is directed to, please? There's no mic. I think you may. I don't know how to do. There's no mic around you. Sir, can you please oblige us? Okay, all right, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Isaac Moses, and I'm the convener of the Ajigule City Youth Marathon, and I'm also the CEO of Sohai Sage Solution, and I'm the secretary to the Youth Council in Nigeria Federal Local Government. So I come from a local government that have the highest population density in the whole of Nigeria and in the whole of West Africa. And of course, it's a youth community, and where we have a lot of talent, a lot of creatives and startups. And my question goes thus. In this modern ecosystem where we have short attention span for young persons, you have minimum wage that could not even buy a bag of rice, young startups are struggling with sustaining workforce. And for young people like us that are starting up, for a resource-limited environment, how do we navigate managing youth workforce for startup organization, and how do you also source out funding to sustain this kind of startup that are not just digital inclined? Because most of the startup, a lot of investors will always want to look at startups that are more digital, that have more large profitability margin, not necessarily looking at the fact that we're still in Africa where digital literacy is still very low. So who is looking at the click and brick model in terms of physical interface for hard to reach and remote communities? Because I'm also passionate about the vulnerable populations that may not have the strong buying power. So some of us as startup, we are still in that domain to ensure that people get access to service. So how do you manage this where your profit margin and then sustaining the workforce to ensure that you remain on business and even starting up such kind of business in such resource-limited environment? Thank you.
Okay, so when you, as a startup, and someone young that has built an MVP and has gone to the market and is testing out solution, it's very important to know that you need to have a team of people that believe in your vision, that believe in that solution. So that's why you shouldn't do it alone. When you do it alone, that's where the drain comes in, because you cannot be able to sustain the manpower. The manpower will demand money from you, and you don't have the capital, and you have not even gotten an investment to build that enterprise. So the first step for you is actually, do you have the team that actually believe in your vision and can be able to work with you to push it to greater heights? That's your solution. That's number one step, because most of the time is the dream of having 10 people, 20 people working for you, and then at the end, you are already spending money. I can give you an example with me. When I started my hub, I was young. It's always funny to me because I was young, naive. At that time, I was just 24. And what I did was, the first thing is I went and looked for a HR company to hire good programmers for me to help me in trade, to serve as trainers in my company. And these people at that time, the salary was high. And the first month, I thought I have the money to pay them. First month went by, I paid. Second month came. Nobody stepped into the hub to request for any service, nothing. And before you know it, before 6 months, I've drained everything in my account because I was paying money. And then along the line, I realized that was my biggest mistake. And then during that time, I had someone who believed in the vision of the hub, and he stayed with me, and we were able to pivot to find sustainable approaches. And that's by, one is at this rate, at that time there wasn't even opportunities to get access to NGFP fellows who be paid by UNDP and EU. I hear they are paying them, and you get them for a year to work for you. That's an opportunity for you to actually access manpower so that they can support you. And then another thing, you can also look at the 3MTT fellows. That's also another opportunity to tap into those talents so that they can support your dream. And they are in almost every local government in this country. You can be able to also have access to that. And then another thing is the youth corps members. They are being paid, and they're looking for a place where they can start their dream as well. Get them to be part of. They are paid so you have less cost of workforce. So this is just a bit of an advice to work around. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say another way to go about this is to identify a co-working space. You heard me when I talk about partnership. It's really huge. It is big. I will advise identify a co-working space so that your cost of running costs will reduce. That is one. If you are based in Lagos State give vouchers to MSME startups to go and use in various hubs. And it has been very, very good. So you can take advantage of that so that you can get enough personnel to work with. The MasterCard Foundation also have associate program. See, one of the secrets of GeniusHub is that we are always available to take intern. That is what we have done. And guess what? There are so many international organizations, so many youths, so many students in the final year who are looking for organizations to work with, to intern with. So there are quite a number of them. So go online, look for the MasterCard Foundation through Baobab link. We got 25 associates from MasterCard Foundation, and we're able to retain 15 of them because they are really, really good. Now, if you go online and look for organizations that provide internship, you're going to get a lot. Then the second option is ask for volunteers. See, my husband and I met as volunteers. We're volunteering. So please, there are industry leaders who have years of experience, especially civil servants, who have years of experience, who just want to retire and just support that young startup to scale. They're not interested in your money, but they just want to support you. So you can get volunteers. And the last but not the least is, this woman here can support you.
So thank you so much, Markus. Thank you, Maryam, and thank you, Isimeme. You guys have done such a great job. I hope we're feeling encouraged and we've received a lot of insight. Thank you so much as well to the Omniverse.